For 2 years, we used artificial intelligence to generate text and answer prompts. Now, we are seeing the emergence of systems capable of autonomous execution, where the AI plans and completes multi-step work without manual intervention. To measure the impact of this transition, a vulnerability study recently analyzed 342 real-world professions, covering roughly 143 million workers across the economy. Every job received an automation exposure score from 0 to 10. The data isolates a clear safe zone. If your work requires physical intervention, like an electrician, a plumber, or a construction worker, your exposure score sits between 0 and 1. Software cannot replicate what human hands do in the physical world. But if your daily output happens entirely on a screen, you fall into the highest risk category. Software developers, medical transcriptionists, and data analysts regularly score an 8, 9, or a perfect 10 on the exposure scale. This chart plots the career data, putting AI exposure scores against median annual income. It reveals a specific risk. While jobs paying under $35,000 carry an exposure score of 3.4, those paying over $100,000 hit an average exposure of 6.7. If your daily work happens on a screen, you are the primary target. Adopting the current wave of agentic AI is now a prerequisite for professional survival. Agentic AI represents the shift from isolated tools you operate manually to autonomous background workers you manage. You are no longer writing the prompt to generate a logo. You are assigning a task to a system that plans, executes, and revises the work on its own. Achieving this level of leverage requires a massive influx of context. An AI cannot operate as your proxy unless you feed it deep, unrestricted access to your personal and professional ecosystems. This creates a direct conflict.
You must surrender granular control and total data privacy in order to gain access to unprecedented operational speed. Does the raw output of agentic AI actually justify the massive erosion of your digital security? Calculating the specific return on investment, weighing hours saved against the friction of lost privacy, is the only mechanism you have to protect a vulnerable career. The first category of these new systems is the omniscient personal layer. Products like Google's Personal Intelligence or Perplexity Health are designed to execute daily logistics without waiting for your prompt. To function, these tools require API access to your intimate data silos. An API is a set of rules allowing software applications to communicate and share data directly. You link emails, smartwatches, and medical records into one centralized brain. The output is frictionless execution. The system can read a flight itinerary in your inbox, check the layover time, and book a restaurant at the correct terminal. It can cross-reference your sleep data with declining B12 lab results to diagnose a circadian disruption your doctor missed. The risk is absolute centralization. Connecting these disparate apps creates a massive single point of failure for your location history and medical data. Adopting this omniscient layer means explicitly trading your digital anonymity for minor, everyday logistical conveniences. The second category is the autonomous workspace. Platforms like GenSpark 3.0 and Claude Desktop elevate the AI into an integrated chief of staff for your professional life.
The required input here is control. You merge siloed communication apps into a single oversight layer and relinquish local control of your desktop, allowing the software to read files and operate your machine directly. The immediate result is asynchronous capability. Asynchronous processes execute independently in the background, without requiring your real-time interaction. You send a voice note from your phone, and the agent reads client briefs, builds a pipeline report from your CRM, and messages your team while you are away from the keyboard. But removing yourself from the intermediate steps introduces a critical liability. When an autonomous system hallucinates data or misreads a file, that error is deployed to your clients at the speed of computation. Gaining the output of a tireless digital employee requires accepting absolute liability for unmonitored mistakes. The third category is the vibe creators. Tools like Google Stitch, Lovable, and Gamma generate functional, finished assets entirely from abstract intent. You abandon precise, traditional software interfaces. Instead, you guide the software using plain English text prompts or spoken voice commands. A single prompt can output full market research PDFs, entirely coded prototype applications, or complete presentation decks in under a minute. The downside to this speed is the loss of exact creative control. Relying on an algorithm to generate layouts and color palettes results in an output bound to an average, homogenized aesthetic. These generators eliminate weeks of expensive developmental labor. However, achieving premium brand differentiation and pixel-perfect design still requires manual human intervention. NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang recently outlined a specific shift in how we interact with technology. We have stopped asking AI to perceive or reason and started assigning it tasks to complete. This requires an agentic operating system. Open-source projects like OpenClaw provide the foundational architecture for agents to navigate your machine, exactly as Windows provided the architecture to navigate a personal computer. Software companies are transitioning from selling tools you use to renting agents that do the work for you. This chart is your strategic evaluation matrix. We plot privacy risk tolerance on the horizontal axis against output volume on the vertical axis. Deploying digital workers costs your raw data. Your position dictates which tools match your specific needs. Founders sit top right. You need massive output and accept high risk, using tools like Lovable to replicate a 5-person team, accepting future technical debt. Corporate earners sit bottom left. Strict IP protection mandates low risk, utilizing local, secure tools like Claude projects and Gamma. Your strategy relies on isolation. You feed the system non-proprietary data to speed up individual tasks. You sacrifice fully autonomous background action in order to guarantee absolute data security. For data-skeptical executives, the directive is clear. You must avoid scraping-heavy integrations like GenSpark and Perplexity Health, where the privacy costs heavily outweigh the logistical benefits. The automation curve is accelerating. If your value to the market exists strictly inside spreadsheets and text documents, ignoring the integration of local AI agents is the fastest way to become obsolete.